There are stories in history that sit quietly in the shadows. Stories that sound impossible, unbelievable, even delusional, until you discover that every detail was once stamped with the words top secret, classified by the most powerful government on earth. This is the story of MKUltra, a US government program so dark, so ethically twisted, and so far-reaching that when it finally surfaced, even experienced investigators struggled to believe that human beings, scientists, soldiers, doctors, could have actually done such things. But the shocking truth is simple. They did. Not in fiction, not in conspiracy theories, not in rumors whispered on the internet. It happened. It was real, and it was far more disturbing than anyone imagined. In the aftermath of World War II and the early years of the Cold War, world powers were caught in a silent conflict. It was not a battle with tanks or planes, but an invisible struggle of information, intimidation, and fear. Rumors spread that the Soviet Union and China had developed techniques that could bend the will of a human being. Reports surfaced suggesting that prisoners of war had confessed under mysterious circumstances, that soldiers had turned against their own country as if their minds had been rewritten. In Washington, fear spread through the highest levels of government. If such techniques existed, America needed to understand them and surpass them. No risk was too high. No boundary was too sacred. In 1953, the newly appointed CIA director, Allen Dulles, transformed this fear into action. He approved a secret project with a simple but terrifying premise: control the human mind. He granted it a hidden budget, unrestricted authority, and protection from oversight. Scientists were given permission to explore psychological manipulation in all its forms. Doctors were invited to ignore their oaths. Intelligence officers were told only one thing: success matters, methods do not. That project was MKUltra, and from the moment it began, ethics evaporated. The core objective was to understand if the human mind could be broken down and rebuilt. Could memories be erased? Could personalities be rewritten? Could a person be controlled like a machine? To answer these questions, MKUltra experimented on a wide range of subjects. Some volunteered, many did not. Experiments were conducted in universities, hospitals, military bases, prisons, safe houses, and even brothels. Men and women from all backgrounds found themselves unknowingly turned into test subject for methods involving LSD, electroshock, sensory deprivation, hypnosis, forced drug addiction, psychological torture, and more. Among all substances tested, one drug captured the CIA's obsession more than any other: LSD. At the time, LSD was new, poorly understood, and incredibly powerful. The CIA believed it could unlock a new era in mind control, one where a single dose could make anyone confess, comply, or break. Agents began taking LSD themselves, often without warning. But the real experiments were conducted on innocent people without their knowledge. One of the most disturbing operations was called Operation Midnight Climax. The CIA rented hidden safe houses in cities like San Francisco. They installed one-way mirrors, hidden microphones, and cameras. Sex workers were secretly hired, not for pleasure, but to lure unsuspecting men into these rooms. Once a man was inside, he was dosed with LSD without knowing it. Behind a glass, CIA agents observed everything, taking notes as the drug distorted the subject's emotions, memory, and behavior. Some subjects experienced fear, confusion, hallucinations, paranoia. Some never learned what had been done to them. These experiments were never consensual. They were never ethical, but they were justified internally with the same chilling logic. If America didn't learn how to use these methods, the enemy surely would. The experimentation didn't stop there. One of the darkest arenas of MK Ultra was a psychiatric hospital known as the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal. There, psychiatrist Dr. Ewan Cameron believed that a person's mind could be completely wiped clean and rebuilt from zero. The CIA poured money into his work. Patients enter the hospital seeking help for mild issues, depression, anxiety, exhaustion. Instead, they were subjected to massive doses of LSD, forced into drug-induced comas that lasted for weeks, and shocked with electricity far beyond safe medical standards. Speakers were placed beside their beds, repeating the same recorded messages for hours every day in a process called psychic driving. The goal was to erase the patient's identity and insert a new one. Many patients emerged with shattered minds, fragmented memories, and lost abilities. Some forgot how to speak. Some forgot their families. Some forgot who they were entirely. None of them had agreed to this. Then came the most tragic story connected to MK Ultra, the death of Frank Olson. Olson was a U.S. Army scientist who worked alongside the CIA. Over time, he reportedly became troubled by the ethics of the secret experiments he was witnessing. Without warning, his colleagues slipped LSD into his drink during a retreat. Olson suffered panic, confusion, and terror. Days later, he fell from the window of a 13th floor hotel room in New York. The CIA claimed it was suicide. His family believed otherwise. Later investigations suggested Olson may have known too much, and that someone feared he might expose the program. His death became a grim symbol of a project that had spun far beyond control. For nearly 20 years, MK Ultra operated without scrutiny. Hundreds of sub-projects, thousands of subjects, dozens of institutions, all under a blanket of secrecy. But in 1973, as the political climate shifted and the CIA faced increasing pressure, Director Richard Helms ordered all MK Ultra documents destroyed. Trucks filled with papers were shredded, burned, erased from history. It seemed the program would vanish without a trace. But fate intervened. A small number of documents, misfiled in storage, survived the purge. When congressional investigators discovered them in the mid-1970s, the veil finally began to lift. Public hearings followed. Victims stepped forward. The American public, shocked and outraged, learned what had been done in the shadows. The scale of the program was hard to comprehend. Ordinary people had been used as human test subjects. Patients seeking help had been destroyed. Soldiers had been drugged without warning. Entire scientific communities had unknowingly collaborated with a program whose core mission violated every principle of human rights. The human cost was immeasurable. Some subjects lived the rest of their lives with trauma, paranoia, or permanent psychological damage. Some lost their memories. Some lost their relationships. Some lost their sense of identity entirely. Lawsuits were filed, compensation demanded, apologies requested. Some victims won, others were denied. Many never knew they were part of MK Ultra until decades later, when it was too late to rebuild what had been taken from them. Officially, MK Ultra ended in 1973. Unofficially, questions lingered. Did all the techniques disappear? Were they absorbed into new programs? Did other countries continue similar research? The answers remain buried in classified archives, hidden memos, and the silence of those who once worked behind locked doors. What remains today is not evidence of continued operations, but the undeniable legacy of a program that crossed every ethical line imaginable. MK Ultra stands as a warning, a reminder of what can happen when fear overrides morality, when secrecy becomes a shield for abuse, and when a government believes the ends justify the means. It shows how fragile the human mind can be. It shows how far institutions can go when no one is watching. And it shows that the pursuit of control when unrestrained, can lead to darkness deeper than anything fiction could invent. The true horror of MK Ultra is not only in the experiments, not only in the LSD, not only in the secret rooms or the deaths that followed. The true horror is that it was planned, organized, funded, and executed by people who believed they were doing what was necessary. It was not chaos. It was method. It was a system. It was a government-sanctioned attempt to explore how far the boundaries of the human mind could be pushed before they were. And countless lives were irreversibly scarred in the process. As this story closes, one truth echoes above all. MK Ultra is not just a chapter in Cold War history. It is a reminder of the importance of oversight, transparency, and ethical boundaries. It warns us of the dangers of unchecked power and silent institutions. It teaches us that secrecy, when left alone long enough, can grow into something monstrous. Mind control was not science fiction. It was real. It happened behind locked doors. And for 20 years, it was considered a priority by one of the most powerful agencies on Earth. MK Ultra ended, but its shadow remains, etched into history as one of the darkest reminders of how vulnerable the human mind can be and how far a government might go when fear becomes its compass.